listeners to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm comedian Tracy DeGraff.
And I'm Catherine, co-host and bestie.
Well, hey there, Catherine. Welcome back to the Pod Lab.
Thank you.
We are here recording episode number 159, and we are covering today the curious case of Natalia Grace.
And Natalia speaks.
Yeah.
So, so, like 6-10 episodes altogether, right?
Yeah, it's a docuseries that you can find on different streaming platforms. Some of them, they require that you pay for them. Others, it's included in the subscription. But you can look at whatever the platform is that you have and see if it's covered. It's been in the news. I had not heard of this case in the news myself.
Me neither.
But boy, stay tuned, friends. Buckle up.
Yeah. I think it really became more highlighted during the pandemic, and the only thing we ever were watching during the pandemic was the crazy COVID news.
I was watching Tiger King or whatever it was. I was watching that.
I have not seen that.
And I thought those people were weird. These people are as weird as Tiger King.
Yes. I was thinking as we were, or you were praying, and I was praying with you. You had mentioned this is one of the weirdest cases.
I think so.
I think this one and the thing about Pam, that one took a lot of twists and turns too.
It did.
And a lot of shocking, wow.
It's hard to believe that people are out there that do these things.
And these people are functioning people.
Exactly.
Like that Pam was your neighbor, friend, and now this couple that we're going to talk about, the Barnetts, he was a successful businessman. He had his own business. Yeah. I do not think of successful people as being nuts, but I'm proved wrong every single time I see a crime thing on it.
Well, buckle in, friends. And if you're just joining us for the first time, Catherine and I are just a couple of best friends who started a podcast because, hey, we got something to say. And we bring you what we think is interesting. And we thought this was very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
For real.
This
even got the attention of my husband. And he's not, he doesn't like crime, true crime. He doesn't like documentaries.
Yeah, Kenny falls asleep. And he only saw barely the first episode. And nonetheless, he was interested.
Yeah. Now, spoiler alert. We are going to tell. We're going to tell it.
Oh, yes.
As we saw it. Mm-hmm. But it's not going to, I could watch the whole series again because I'm just like, I could watch that again. It's like a train wreck. You can't look away.
That's how I felt about the Pam one.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So before we go any further, I just want to say thank you to our sponsors. We have amazing sponsors on this podcast.
We do. We have a new one now,
we
too,
do.
Right?
Vickie, welcome aboard. Choo-choo.
Thank you, Vickie.
We love you. We appreciate you. We are moving this podcast forward because of you. And our sponsors donate to our mission $5 a month if they sign up through Patreon. And if you just go to Patreon, you can look up Life Happens, Laugh Anyway, click on the thing, and sign up with $5 a month. Or if you don't like to do the recurring billing, which a lot of people don't, so we have another option for you. If you go to my website, tracydegraff.com, click on podcast, you'll find a link there where you can give to us directly. And you can just give a one-time gift. What do you want to give us? $1,000? $2,000? What do you want to give us?
Please, sir.
No, and there is no such thing as too small of a gift because all of it helps. And we just purchased new microphones, which we are speaking to you on right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can hear the sound on the other end, audience, as much as in the studio. The new microphones are positioned in such a way that you don't have to have them directly in front of your face where you got to go cross-eyed.
Yeah, they're not so sensitive. The other one was like, I have to be right here to work for you.
So anyway, we're grateful for that because they were several $100s to get these, Shure microphones, which are the Shure thing. They're like, they have a brand and everything. It's Shure. I'm sure it's going to work.
Raise your hand if you're sure.
Yeah, we're wanting to add this year in 2024 video, and we're going to do it. It's going to happen within this year. We're going to add video, and then this podcast will be available to you by video on YouTube. It's going to be fun.
Wait.
I know. I'm really excited about that. But we need a little bit more equipment in order to do that. So if you'd like to support us and help us grow. By the way, our podcast in 2023 grew by almost 60%.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, that's crazy.
If it does that every year, like if we bump up again in 2024 by 60%, this is going to be something.
Yeah.
And all of you early adapters, you're going to be like, I was there from the beginning. And we love you for it.
Yeah.
All right. Did that. Let's roll.
Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here is kind of like the brief outline of what we're going to give you today with this episode. 3 takeaways. Number 1, we're going to summarize this crazy kooky case.
Try to.
We are going to try. We're going to try to give it to you in chronological order, but we may, stray like you do. And then we'll come back. And number 2, we're going to share like the dangers of having the mentality of whatever it takes.
Yeah.
When you have that mentality.
Right. Don't be,
Anyway, we'll get to it. And number 3, we're going to talk about, what would you do if you witnessed something similar? Because these are just everyday people, neighbors and such that witness this stuff. We have a scripture for you as always, and then a call to action. So stay tuned. And we've only got less than an hour to share because Catherine has to go.
Right.
So just stick with us. All right, Kat, give me a summary. If you never heard of this case, give me your summary of what it's about.
Yeah, this case is like one of the detectives had described it as a Rubik's Cube that could never be solved. And that right when you think you've almost got it, it is, blown to pieces and messed up. And this is a story about a family who adopted a gal, an orphan, from the Ukraine. They claim that it was through a closed adoption thing and that they didn't have any information other than that she had dwarfism. And she had a rare case of dwarfism, and it was called dysplasia something or the other.
Yeah.
And so it was another layer of a handicap for her. And
the family was a married couple, and they had 3 boys.
Right.
And they appeared to be stable. Normal.
Appeared to be, that's correct. And their oldest son was a genius. And we'll get into that, but I'm just doing a quick summary.
Yeah.
So it's a case of they're accused of neglect of this child. Now we're using the word child, but the debate was she a child or wasn't she? And the Barnetts who adopted her, their belief was that she was not a child, that she's faking being a child. I don't know how that can possibly be.
How would she do that?
And why would she do that?
Tell me how to do it. I'll do it.
Mm-hmm. So that's their claim. And so we're going to take you through that whole journey of that. And then we're going to talk about Natalia, her turn to speak up. And so we're going to tell you about the professionals that were involved in this. So there were lawyers and doctors, the Child Protective Services, they get involved, even a former FBI agent. And then we also have a lot of commentary from this legal expert.
Yes.
And I
like her.
I love her. And I
love
when she speaks, but
she just has common sense. Like, she asks a lot of the times. So she's a lawyer or former lawyer. And she's a consultant, like an expert. And so whoever put this documentary together, they hired her to come on board and tell us what all this legal stuff means. And here's what she asks a lot of times. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
She does. Right.
I love when she does that.
Oh, me too.
Because I have that same thing going on in my head. Why?
Why? Because...
That's what we want to know.
Yes.
By the way, the couple that adopted this little girl, they're from Indianapolis.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So they're just like Midwestern people. They're like normal. They're not like.
They appear to be.
Well, they're not royalty. They're not, elites.
Yeah.
But I think that they thought they were. I think that they thought that they were something like
super
for sure.
Special.
Elite. Like,
absolutely.
Look at me.
Absolutely. And both of them cared about their image. Michael... more so, and the mom, her name's Christine, she definitely cared about image, but she also cared more about money and prestige.
Yeah.
And so, like we said, so their son was a genius. Well, she wrote a book about how she turned him into this genius. He had autism, but she pretty much corrected that.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
okay, but she said that she worked with him with her special formula
Yeah.
or her special techniques, and that's what makes him be able to do all these math problems that are, hard to do.
Oh, yeah.
And blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, no, he
No.
was just born that way.
Right.
And his brain works that way. You didn't do a darn thing for him.
Yeah, and they had a child care for children with certain disabilities
Right.
like autism, and so her academy, as she called it, well, actually that was later. They put their son Jacob, the oldest one, into her special academy and said that he could speak Japanese, Arabic. He could. What else was on there? That
I don't know, but
piano lessons.
And he might
None
have
of it.
he might have been super smart and all of that because some way, somehow, she fooled some people in publishing because somebody picked up her book and she made a boatload of money on it.
I know. At first, I'm thinking she probably didn't make anything off a book, but then it's true.
She ran around doing all the media things and all of that. So then she did have a quote unquote image to protect.
Right.
Okay. So they have all this going. They're making all the money. He's got his own stuff going. She's making her money. She and the autistic / genius are running around the country promoting the book and her method and all of that. And then they decide as a family, you know what's missing? We have 3 boys. I think we need a girl or we need another child.
Yeah, because she believes she can churn out another genius. And she actually is writing this book. Like, the book is in the works while they have Natalia. And anyway, the ghostwriter of the book is told by Christine, no, take out everything about her. She's not at all the genius.
Part of it. Okay, so she's got a motive. And her motive is self-serving. It's not to help a child who's helpless and who needs a family. It's to use this child as an experiment to see if my methods maybe work on her, right?
Right.
And bring her to this country and let's see if we can turn her into a genius too.
Right.
Something like that.
So here we are. It's the summer of 2010, and they adopt this Natalia, who was given... Okay, so she's from Ukraine, as we said. And then this family, the Chaconis, I believe they're called,
Yes.
They are out on the East Coast. They have adopted her. They had her for 2 years. The dad, Gary, I think was his name, he, according to Natalia, dislikes Natalia after she accidentally falls on their son's arm or something. And I mean, this is her side of the story. We don't really know why they gave her up, but they contacted Little People of America. Is that what it was called?
I think so.
Something, yeah. And they found some potential people who wanted to adopt her and love her. And one of the cases, they could not adopt her because the husband wasn't totally on board and the fees were just too much. And so they knew they just can't do it. But they had a heart for her. Now, this other couple, Dwayne and Robin, I think were their names. Possibly.
Well, the dwarf couple that wanted to adopt her, where they said that it was too much money, they couldn't afford it. It was because the lawyers on the first adoptive family side were saying to the lawyers on the new potential adoptive family, if you adopt her, you also have to pay for all the fees that this other family have put out for her, which is like $25,000.
Right. I'm talking about the first one. So you don't see the husband of the other small person. She's the one that had the husband that just wasn't on board. It was just going to cost too much. Yeah, that. But yes.
Okay, that's a good point though. The one in the relationship wasn't on board with this. Okay, don't do it.
Right, and they didn't.
And I think that can be respected because this is not an easy thing.
Yes.
Adopting somebody with this special kind of dwarfism, you have to endure multiple surgeries to correct different things just so she can exist.
Absolutely.
Because it's a lot of pain that she's in and so forth.
Also, you have to respect, she had said, the one that you only see the woman, you don't see the husband, and she said, we're Christians, and we believe that everything, that we do, we have to be all on board, both of us together.
I think even in the case of bringing in any kind of a child or a pet or anything like that, if one person in the relationship says no, I believe that you have to default to that because you both need to be on board.
Yes.
You can't drag the other person into it and say, well, now guess what? I'm going to force you to become a parent or a doggy mom or whatever.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So now they visit this other couple that you're talking about. I think their names are Dwayne and Robin, but nonetheless, they also had dwarfism. They had a little girl the same age as Natalia. They meet for Halloween. They meet for Christmas. They meet a few times, and these girls really bonded.
Yeah.
But as you said, the lawyers got involved, and it just got icky and sticky. And so they had to back out.
Yeah.
Right. And so then the Chaconi's, the mom, she finds the Barnetts. So they have communication. The Barnetts, they know who they are. They even meet them. But you'll see in an interview if you watch this, Michael says, no, we had no idea who they were. And when I first saw this, the 2019 interview of him, I believed that. The way he told the story, because he wasn't real dramatic yet and theatrical yet. He was a little bit, because I was kind of like, he also had a little bit of a lisp. And so I was so distracted by his mannerism. Let me just say this. His mannerism made me a little bit distracted. So I couldn't get past that. So anyway.
Okay, but one of the things about Michael Barnett, he's definitely a liar. He lies.
Oh, yes.
Okay, and so when a person is a liar, they cannot keep track of everything that they've said.
Right.
And all the lies that they've put out there. I don't care what you say. You think you're so smart and you think you can lie your way or, like connive your way or talk your way through something? No.
I know, and I couldn't tell. Like, I think he believes his own lies.
That's exactly what I was getting at. Like, when you first saw that interview or whatever from 2019, because he's lying with confidence. He is lying as if it happened.
Exactly. I'm just going to say this, too. Fast forward to 2022 or 2023. I think it's 2022. Now they're interviewing him in his home.
I just drank your coffee.
Oh,
sorry. It's got sugar in it, and my taste buds went, ugh. Okay, go ahead.
So, he, as I said, he's very theatrical. And there's this moment, not just a moment, a few moments, where he is, I can't tell if he's holding back tears or trying to muster some tears up. Oh. And it was, like, so comical to watch because the woman abused me. Talking about his wife, and oh my gosh! And when he acted out how
the beating,
so we'll get to that. But okay, so now, as we said, the Barnetts, they've adopted her. They take her to Disney World or Disneyland, whichever.
Okay, wait, but before they adopted her, this is the thing that made me go, huh? The dwarf family that wanted to adopt her through Little People of America or whatever it was called.
I know what you're going to say.
They had all this engagement. They had all this time with Natalia to see, does it work? Doesn't it work? Do we get along?
Right.
But then when it came to the Barnetts, it was just sort of like, here you go.
Well, Michael, he says in his 2019 interview, he says, they said you have to come get her now. Otherwise, you don't get her.
Oh, it's always somebody else's problem.
That's what the adoption place said. But that's a lie. They had communication, and they even had time to set up her room at the dollhouse, and they lowered the shelves. This is the nice Barnetts, adjusting her room for her height and so forth. So, no, he's totally lying. But that's what he had said.
It just seems so odd to me because it's the way they described the decision that was made for, like, this is the perfect home for Natalia. It's almost like a drive-through. Like, I'll have the number 2, please. Yeah. And they pull up to the second window. They give him the money, and the kid gets in the car.
Well, once we understand the motive,
right? That's so true. Right? Yeah. They just want to get their hands on somebody.
Exactly. We don't know that when we're first the first couple episodes of watching, because you just see Michael being interviewed. You see his side of what's happening. Because my husband, Kenny, was kind of going, because as the episodes roll on, they are claiming that Natalia is, as I said, lying about her age. So we're back in Disney World. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I took us off track. Okay,
okay.
So the Barnetts have just adopted her, and now they're having their first family vacation at Disney World.
Right. And they're up in the hotel room, and according to Michael, Christine, the wife, gives Natalia a bath, and she starts hollering, Michael, 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 oh my gosh. And Natalia, who's supposed to be 6 or 8 or whatever, she has pubic hair, according to Christine. Now, Michael doesn't actually see this, but he's supposedly believing Christine that she has pubic hair. So this narrative starts to grow from that. But it's not right away. They don't right away try to say, oh, she's older than what she says she is. But it's when Christine starts to discover she can't change this girl. She can't make her into this prodigy child that she had, wanted to do. And so they start telling people, they start telling neighbors. And there you hear audio, you hear phone calls of some neighbors saying, yeah, she acted older. Even the boys said she was older, she was this, she was destructive, she was that. But they don't actually witness this themselves. This is all hearsay from mostly Christine. And the boys were young. They are probably doing, what their mother put into their heads, or saying what their mother put into their heads.
They're children.
Right,
They're
exactly.
all little children. They're young people.
Exactly. And so one neighbor in particular, she's brought up later in the later episodes as well, but she says, she seemed older, and Christine said she was convincing. She's saying that Christine was convincing about Natalia actually being older. So then they contact doctors.
Okay, you know why she was convincing? Because she was lying with confidence.
Exactly. Yes. Lying with confidence. Right.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I know.
So they take her to a family doctor. Well, first they take her to other doctors. There's several doctors involved, more than I thought, because I watched it twice. I'm like, oh. And one of the doctors said, she's a child. Her growth plates are not...
They're open.
They're open. And
they're not closed yet, so she's not done growing.
Oh, and I love later when the lawyers try to put the doctor in
the corner.
Yes, yeah. I love that later. We'll get to that. And so he says, no, she's a child. Also, there are pictures of her, she lost her tooth at the age that you lose teeth, and so that's evidence. Yeah. And then later on, we see that a dentist, he didn't even know that this case went the way it went. Right. And because the producer is filming him, and the dentist says, these are her x-rays. There is no way she could be an adult. These are, a child's tooth structure, whatever.
Right. It's fact.
It's fact.
It's not fiction. We're not making it up. You can't fake it.
Yeah.
If you have baby teeth underneath, or you have adult teeth that are still underneath your baby teeth, guess what? You're a baby.
Now, so he tells Christine that she's a child. Christine leaves that office and continues to tell people that the dentist said that she's a child. And it was a total lie. Like, he did not say that. Okay.
No, you just said that Christine said the dentist said that she's a child. Did you mean to say that?
Yes.
Okay, but Christine was claiming she was an adult.
I'm sorry. Yes, you're right.
So you misspoke.
I misspoke.
Okay,
right.
So you...
God, it's so confusing with this.
Okay, but Christine was lying with confidence.
Yeah.
Okay, you gotta take this. You gotta step out of it for a minute, and you've got to get it that Christine and Michael Barnett have a motive, and their motive is they need to be rid of Natalia. Why? Because she's in the way. She's in the way of them moving to Canada. They wanted to move to Canada. The reason they wanted to move to Canada is because their oldest son, Jacob, who was the genius/autistic boy, he was offered a special education in Canada to get his master's degree at a super young age, and they had to
14.
They had to go and live there. In order for them to participate in this program, they had to live there. Well, guess what? Canada would not allow Natalia to come and live there because she needed all these surgeries, and they weren't about to put her on their, social medicine rolls and pay for all her surgeries. So they said, no can do.
Right. And they were even before that, they were already like, what, pretty much, what did we do here?
Right, because as you pointed out, she was not fitting into the vision that Christine had of I'm a genius maker.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? I'm not a genius, but I'm a genius maker.
Yes.
And
yes.
I can make another one.
Yeah.
Watch me.
Mm-hmm.
And then she thought she could write a book on how I turned Natalia into a genius.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't working.
So everything was not working out the way that they had envisioned it. So now they're kind of stuck with this child. Well, how can they get rid of her? Well, age her.
Yes. And so their family doctor, who they have a relationship with, somehow they get him to say, oh, yeah, she's an adult. She has breasts. They somehow get him to do that. Now, one thing that we want to point out is that Indiana law is that if you adopt a child, you have to keep them till they're 21. Well, guess what age they wanted her aged at?
What age was it, Catherine?
22.
Oh, wow. Ding, 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 ding.
22 years old.
So that's 14 years. They aged her plus 14 years from what they thought she was when she first came from Ukraine.
That's correct. And
that's mind-blowing to me.
It is mind-blowing. They also not only want to make her older than what she actually is, they also want to say she's nuts and she is a killer. She's evil. She's these things. Christine says they go to this family they go to celebrate a birthday or something like that at this farm, and they have barbed wire and electric fence, and Christine says, she tells the boys and her husband, go on ahead. Well, conveniently, it's just her and Natalia now. Natalia's version is her feet hurt, so she's got these feet that are deformed, and she needs special shoes. She didn't have them, and it hurts.
And that's true.
Oh, yeah.
Of that condition, she could only walk like 10 to 12 feet or something like that, and then she would be...
And they were going on a trail.
Oh, gosh.
And she says, I can't walk. And Christine went to help her get up, but then fell, and then they both fell, and then she starts to scream, she's trying to kill me, she's trying to kill me. Well, these two ranch workers that worked on the farm were interviewed, and they're like, no, that is not at all what happened. Anyway, they continue to do this narrative that she's evil.
Well, at that, sorry to interrupt you, but at that farm incident, they called 911.
Yeah, they did.
And the emergency responders came. Mm-hmm. And they even said the mom is making everything worse.
Yes.
The mom is off her nut, right, and she's making everything worse. So you get these testimonials from people who have no reason to lie.
Yep.
They just don't have a reason to lie. They don't have a dog in this fight.
Yeah, exactly right. So now... they get her re-aged. Instead of her birth date is actually 2003. But you don't know this when you're watching the first few episodes. You think that, oh, wow, this little girl is lying, because the judges and the doctors, they change it to 1989 that she was born, which would make her, by then, 22.
The fact that they go back 14 years, that just blows my mind, because I could understand if a foreign... a child comes from like the Ukraine is known for having corruption,
right,
political stuff, and you've got to pay money under the table, and perhaps they are known for like trying to sell off a baby as a baby, not as a toddler. But you can't fake 14 years.
Right, and that's exactly what the legal analyst says, Beth. She says, yeah, it does happen. Sometimes you shave a couple years to make it more attractive to the potential adoptee parents.
Right.
But not. How did it even get this far with this girl? So now she's aged at 22. What did they do? They want her completely out of their lives. This is before Canada.
Well, they're getting ready to go to Canada.
They're getting ready. Oh, here's another part that just kills me. Michael says in his interview in 2019, well, we kind of knew a little bit about Lafayette. Baloney. They lived in Westfield, outside of Indy-ish, and they went to college at Purdue in Lafayette. Don't tell me you don't know much about Lafayette.
They know.
Baloney.
Plus, before Lafayette, they set her up in that other apartment. So
that's what I'm talking.
Okay.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Oh,
the first
right.
apartment was a main
Westfield.
Floor. It was a ranch apartment.
Right.
But you have to think about it. You're putting a child in an apartment. Now, whether that, they claim that she was 22, she claims she was 9 years old, whatever. even if she was 16, maybe she wasn't 9, maybe she was 10 or 11 or whatever, but she was not 20 or 22 or whatever they said, 22.
Nonetheless, she was disabled.
Right. Even if she was 22, she was 3 feet tall.
Exactly. She's disabled. She was supposed to be under their care. They were her parents. They drop her. They didn't even get out of the car, according to neighbors that witnessed this. Well, they did furnish her. I love the way Michael says, we gave her some furniture from our home.
Right,
like it was
leftovers.
A real generous thing.
Right.
Wow.
And they threw some food at
Where
her.
else is this orphan going to get furniture?
She can't drive, obviously. I mean, come on.
Yes. Oh, my goodness.
And then Christine, I guess, was MIA after that for the most part. Michael would come and go, but Christine was like, oh, chip, chip, chip. Like the Pontius Pilate thing. Not my problem.
The neighbors say that she even dropped off groceries on the sidewalk. And this neighbor, Sue, she's an older lady, she said the mom just watched her from the car, watched Natalia and Sue help her bring the groceries in, and that the mom didn't even say thank you to Sue for helping her.
Okay, and then Christine had coached Natalia to tell everybody she was 22.
Yeah.
So when she gets into this neighborhood and she rents this place and people see her and all that, and this one lady goes, where's your mom? And she goes, well, I'm 22. I live here by myself. And the neighbor's like, oh, wow, that's odd.
Yes. Now, you'll see in these episodes that these neighbors, at first, they kind of like her. They think, well, poor kid is dropped off.
Well, you would have compassion on anybody that has a disability, I would think. And if you could help them, you would. Like that one guy, the man, the normal looking couple.
Yes, yeah.
He talked about being Midwest nice,
Yes.
If you have a neighbor, you help them, they help you.
Right.
So they did try to help her in whatever way they could.
They did. But Natalia, okay, she is a child. You don't know this when you're watching it, as I keep saying. And she does child things.
Right.
She latches on to all these people. She becomes a total pest. She goes to the management office of the apartments and she takes the candy out of the dish. And
she's immature.
She's immature. She's got a body odor. They're really getting sick of her. Now, the older lady, Sue, she's actually saying, like, oh yeah, she's definitely older. I can tell she's older. And this older lady, Sue, is also saying, she knows exactly what she's doing. She's evil. She goes so far as to say that. And she even tells that couple, the young couple, I don't think you should have Natalia around your little boy. In this interview, the mom of the little boy, she says, well, I appreciate her saying maybe you should, watch out for your little boy, but I don't appreciate her exactly telling us what we should and shouldn't do in terms of having Natalia around. She said, we can make judgments for ourselves. So I'm conflicted with Sue.
Yeah, my opinion of Sue is that didn't she think that Natalia did something inappropriate with her grandson or something?
Yes.
Or threatened him or something?
And another boy in the hood when they were rolling around in the grass.
I think that Sue just went scorched earth. Once she saw her grandchild, or she thought that her grandchild was going to be threatened in some way, I think she's like, that's it. I'm cutting you off. And then she's believing whatever it is that Christine and Michael are putting out about Natalia. Understandable to a degree. And then the other people, like you said, they're grown people. They can make a judgment for themselves.
Yeah.
And everybody has to remember this is a young person.
Yeah.
This is a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old. She's completely by herself. She's completely on her own.
Sometime during that time period, one of the neighbors, they don't say who, calls Child Protective Services. So they come and they investigate. I forget the name of the person at that
Well, didn't
Protective Services,
the mom send her to school? She sent her to GED school. And at the school, they're like, you're 22?
That too. So that's another one that's alerted, and they call authorities. But the Child Protective Services, they come in, and then Michael gets wind of this. He comes with his little phone and records Natalia. And he tries to catch her doing something adult-like. And she's so innocent, literally. There's no bad evidence on that video. And he's like, where'd you get these donuts? Where'd you get these donuts? And she's like, well, I don't know. We're there. And he goes, I'm going to check the date. He checks the date. And he's like, these are April. They're new. You're lying to me. You're a liar. And she's like, well, okay, Sue, the neighbor brought him over. And he goes, why'd she do that? She goes, to be a nice neighbor. I mean, he looks like a fool.
He does. He thinks that he's videotaping this
a liar,
like to show that she's a liar.
Independent.
But what he's really showing is that they're not providing for her.
Exactly.
And that there are neighbors who are feeling pity for her and feeling sorry for her.
Yes.
And they're bringing her food, like donuts.
Yes. Exactly. It's unbelievable.
It's horrible.
And yes, so then she's sent to the school to learn, right? Those people are like, something's odd. She's saying she's 22, but she acts like a child.
Yeah.
Then she's sent to at some point, and I don't recall when, if it's when she's in Lafayette. I think it's when she's in Lafayette. But anyway, they send her to a mental institution, hospital.
Yeah, because they're trying to get her committed,
like, woohoo,
so that they can be rid of her.
Mm-hmm.
They're claiming that she's not only tried to kill Christine at the electric fence, but guess what? She also tried to poison her with
I
pledge.
was just gonna say,
with lemon pledge.
Right.
Which is so dumb. I think that there was some lying on Natalia's part too. You know, because I don't think you can die from a little bit of lemon pledge.
Mm-hmm.
I have myself inhaled some lemon pledge in my day, and I'm still here. Because Natalia, when she tells the story, she says that Christine stepped away,
mm-hmm.
and we missed a spot. We were cleaning, and we missed a spot. And so I moved her coffee out of the way,
mm-hmm.
and then I sprayed the stuff, and Christine came back in and accused me of trying to kill her.
Yeah, I was a little suspicious too. And also Natalia says at some other point, I don't think it was that incident, but at another time, and I kind of do believe this, Christine said, put this in my drink, or something really weird like that at some point. What's her name? Natalia's like, I don't know what you mean. And Christine, she tries to frame her. Yes,
because Christine and Michael were always trying to get everything lined up to the narrative that they were portraying. Their confidence, they're lying with confidence, right? Mm-hmm. They're putting this out there. Mm-hmm. We're these great people that we have adopted this wonderful dwarf child, you know, and we're going to do all these things with her. And they're trying to cover up everything.
Right.
And so they're trying to catch her or make her act out these scenes that they're then accusing her of.
Right.
Crazy.
It is crazy. Okay, so now she's being kicked out of the apartments in Westfield. I can't remember why. The lease was up,
and they said, no, we can't renew you.
Yes, and they couldn't renew it because there were so many complaints about her.
Right.
She was just this pest. So Christine and Michael's version, in the first interview, he's like, well, we wanted to provide a nice place for her. Mm-hmm. So Christine and she went hunting. Now, that cracks me up because Natalia is a little girl. Even if she was 22, she was not capable of, setting this up. This was not a decision that Natalia had any part of at all. But they try to play it off, that she picked it out.
Yeah.
So is in a really bad part of Lafayette. Lafayette's really nice, but there are bad parts. And this particular area, it had the Salvation Army, not the thrift store, but the actual. It
had the homeless shelter.
It had
all the things that you have in
had
sketchy neighborhoods.
Yes.
The funny part about the film is when they were saying the words, like Michael was saying, it was a great neighborhood, and they're showing pictures on the film mm-hmm. of the neighborhood mm-hmm. while he's saying it was safe and it was fine, and they're showing pictures of the graffiti and showing pictures of people laying in the street.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't fine.
No, it was
not. And he
not.
knew it.
Right. Not only that, her apartment was on the second floor. There were 16 steps up to that, and prior to that, there's 4 steps on the porch to the actual house.
Yeah.
And then it just was not. Oh, and no accommodations at all for a little person in the kitchen or, anywhere else.
Giving a person who has feet that are 12 inches long, or legs,
mm-hmm.
like she's so small,
mm-hmm.
and giving her an apartment that's on the second floor makes no sense.
It's cruel. Yeah. And we get to see texts between Michael and Christine. And that is hard evidence about who's lying here, because the texts reveal Michael saying to Christine, what the heck? You turned the power off. It's been off for 3 months and you didn't tell me. Not only that, she hadn't had groceries. And this is after, again now, some authorities have stepped in.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember now which ones it was. But Michael's trying to do damage control. And he's like, what the heck? What am I going to do? So Christine says, wipe out all of her contacts. I think it was the Child Protective Services. Because on one hand, they're saying Child Protective Services, but they're saying she's not a child, so we're in the clear. And then in another, they said Adult Protective Services. In the end, the Child Protective Services have no say-so because they legally, she was changed birth date to 89, which made her an adult, and it was no longer a threat. But the point is, Christine said to Michael, wipe out all her contacts. So now she has a cell phone, but she can't contact anybody.
Well, and Michael was like, you think she hasn't memorized these phone numbers?
Yes, he did say that.
And they had a history of wiping out phones. Michael was forced to wipe out his phone in Christine's presence because he had taken some video of her in a rant, according to him.
Oh, right.
So this is how they deal with things. It reminds me of Men in Black when they had that little memory eraser, and they would just have you look at it and flash, and it would, like, all your memories would be gone. It's like they think that they can just disappear all the stuff that they're doing because they're trying to create this narrative.
So crazy.
The stove that was in the apartment that they rented for Natalia had buttons on it that were at the top of the stove.
No.
And so if she was to use the stove, she would have to literally crawl on top of the stove in order to turn it on. She could not reach anything. She couldn't, do her laundry. She couldn't take the bathtub was a clawfoot tub.
Oh,
she would have to somehow get herself in, and then how would she get out?
Right.
Come on. So just on a common sense level, okay, I know that the law, the court, the quote unquote people that are trying to serve and protect, they aged her as 22, right?
Yeah.
Guess what? She wasn't 22. We know that.
Right.
We have proof of that.
Right.
But that wasn't allowed in the court. When all these charges came against these people?
This makes me stutter. I just cannot believe that. There is so much more to say, but guess what? We're out of time.
I know.
We're going to have to do part 2.
All right, but let's leave it at this. Okay, watch the docuseries. Watch it. Because you've got to see these people, like on screen. What's the matter?
I'm just having trouble. Yeah, but we're going to do part 2.
Yeah, let's do part 2.
Let's do part 2.
But let's share the scripture that we wanted to share for today. The scripture is, hold on, I've got to get it up on my phone again. I know you got to go, Kat. So hold on. Where is it? There it is. It is Matthew 25, verse 40. And it says this. It says, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. And Catherine and I were talking about that, and this is when Jesus is preaching a sermon, and he's talking to people like, "Hey, treat each other like you're nurturing me, like you're helping me." And he talks not only about things that you do, but he talks about the things that you don't do. So if you see somebody in need, you see somebody that really needs some help, do it. Just help them.
Yeah.
If you see something, say something.
Yes.
When we come back for part 2. We are going to talk about the rest of this story, and then we're going to talk about the dangers of having that whatever it takes mentality that the Barnetts had.
Yes.
Okay? All right.
Okay.
Well, you've been listening to the Life Happens, Laugh Anyway podcast. I'm still comedian Tracy DeGraff.
I'm still Catherine.
See you next time.
We'll see you in part 2.